Hello, everybody. Welcome to Monday. The S&P 500 was down 0.09% today. Although the broad market, when you look at all the stocks that are out there, it was a very weak day. Lots of red today. I want to talk about three main catalysts today. One is this hedge fund that unwound on Friday. The second thing is really what happened to the Suez Canal and what that means. And then also what's going on with the virus itself and the vaccines and such, and how that might be affecting our portfolio. So first of all, on Friday, there was a hedge fund that was unwound. And what happens is this hedge fund used a lot of leverage. So they were borrowing money and buying stock with that. And those stocks came down, and the bank seized all of those stocks and then sold them in a very chaotic fashion. It was a really interesting concept altogether. And the banks ended up losing money. They got less money back than they borrowed. Than they lent out. And so that created a problem for banking stocks today. And so the news over the weekend was, is this done? This particular hedge fund, it has no transparency. We can't tell what they own. Normally you can, like even with retirement cap strategies, we have to report to the SEC what we have. But this hedge fund was registered as a family office, and that one's excluded from reporting. So there was just a lot of mystery as to what was going to go on, and a lot of caution came into this week because of that. And so that was the big issue there. It's just a matter of selling some of those stocks, and it seemed to have a little bit of contagion, a little bit like what we saw with the GameStop thing, where things happened. I think that blows over. I think that's okay. The Suez Canal was really kind of an issue because we're having a supply problem right now in all kinds of areas. Semiconductors, they don't have enough to make the cars, for example. Lumber, they're having trouble with lumber shortages and et cetera. So when you block off, 12% of the world's trade for a long enough period of time, you're going to end up with all kinds of other shortages, specifically plastics. That was one of the key things, which of course is a part of so many products now. So it was a very good thing that they got that reopened today, and that should allow traffic to go. And it was probably not closed long enough to cause any significant problems. But I will say that shortages are going to be something we're going to deal with. So many companies have cut back on production in all kinds of areas, and then the supply is down, and the demand, I think, is going to expand with all of this stimulus money and all this pent-up demand that's coming out. So shortages are going to continue. You just didn't want the Suez Canal to be closed for months on end, to kind of exaggerate that. So it was very good that they got that ship out of there, and it didn't break in half or any of those other crazy scenarios that I was reading about. So that was a good thing. That should help as far as that goes. Uh, the last thing is really the coronavirus. So obviously they've had a lot of spikes happening in Europe and a lot of closures in Europe. None of those are very popular right now. There's a lot of problems going on. Germany started a closure and then had to reverse it because it was so poorly received. We're seeing some spikes here in the U.S. And so there obviously the investments that we have are going to do the best when everything starts to reopen. And so if everything starts to close because the virus really picks up, that would be an issue. But here's what I see. Just on Friday, they inoculated 3.4 million people, which is 1% of the US population. I don't think we're that far away from getting a fair number of people vaccinated here as far as that goes, and trying to get this under control. So that's actually a really big deal. And again, the idea here is that the companies like Walt Disney that we have, in this portfolio, are going to start to see some much better earnings come through because of, Airbnb, airlines, travel companies, all of these things are going to start to really go here, especially as more and more people get vaccinated. I don't think that there is the will here in this country, and certainly in some of these states, to close things down. Matter of fact, to go in the other way, which is creating some problems. But in terms of what might happen for these particular stocks, the Federal Reserve at the end of last year said that they expected the gross domestic product for 2021 to be about 4.3%, which is a big number. We're usually around 2 to 3%. But then after this last set of meetings, they revised that to 6.5%, which is a huge number. The expectation here is that things are going to start to grow very, very quickly. And there's obviously all kinds of potential roadblocks that we have in here and bumps in the road and what have you. But that growth, as it comes through, is going to cause inflation, We have inverse, positions on the bonds because that's what makes money when bonds go down. And then we also have all of these pieces positioned really well for this reopening that's coming our way. And so, in between times, we're getting all these, different pieces that are coming and whatnot too. So, but I think that, obviously we're in the right spot as far as that goes. So lots of catalysts today, lots of pieces that are going on. A very, very interesting time frame. Matter of fact, this is one of the most interesting time frames I've ever seen altogether. So anyway, look forward to talking to you tomorrow. Let's see what happens. Thank you. Also, I'm really excited to be expanding our offering for investor education with a Go Live with Tom segment that will be live on Fridays starting April 9th. All you do is go to golivewithtom.com. If you have any questions, you'll be able to ask them at Ask Tom at Go Live with Tom. Just send an email. You can send those now if you'd like. Anybody can come. We'll be talking about financial planning, tax planning, investment management. The object is to help people build and maintain their net worth. And I think this will be a great environment for that. So please join me. I look forward to hearing from you then. Thank you.